What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Retro Encounter. As always, I'm Josh Curry. With me is Alana Hagues.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Mike Sollosi.
Hello, everybody.
And Triezenberg.
Hello there.
And this exciting month, we are talking about Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc. I always forget that little blurb afterwards. It's just Danganronpa.
It has a subtitle.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem happy, but there is lots of havoc. It really hasn't put any triggers.
There's plenty of triggers. Every trial is a shooting gallery.
Yeah. But it's definitely not happy. We can agree on that.
Yes, there are many emotions in play here, but happiness is rarely one of them.
Well, it likes to present you with joy and then snatch it away from you. Like in Chapter 2. But we'll get there.
Yeah, so we'll just preface all of this. We played through the end of Chapter 3. So technically, I guess not technically, it is 3 court cases. Bunch of death, though, over that time. So if you guys are playing along and haven't gotten to that point, pause now. Why was Chapter 2 sad?
I really liked Mondo. And I was
bummed
that he was the killer.
Okay. That's fair enough.
I think I've mentioned this to you guys off of the recording, but it happens a couple times where they in these Danganronpa games, you see characters form friendships and just be really happy and cute together, and then invariably half of that pair is a victim or a murderer, and it just tears your heart in half.
Well, and what's so great about it, too, is, they do a really good job of, setting up those anime tropes that you're kind of expecting and then pulling the rug out from under it and subverting them. Like with Mondo, I was kind of expecting him to be pretty much what he said he was, like the honor-bound, hotshot biker gang guy, and then it turns out he's the killer in the second case, and it's like, oh...
I don't know, I expected him to kill somebody, but I like the way that they did, you say honor bound, and he was honor bound, and he killed for honor, I suppose, because he kept a promise, and that was why he killed Chihiro. I was more sad that Chihiro died, because he was adorable. She, it's a he, but...
See, I've been very fortunate with the exception of Celeste. Every character I don't like is dead.
I hated Celeste. I was really happy she died.
Yeah, seconded.
I'm not really a Celeste fan either, man.
She's on the lower tier of the group that I like. I know that I'm going to be very different than everybody because I'm confident there's one person that everybody hates, and I really like him.
That's probably how this is going to go, yeah.
I was actually I liked Mondo okay, but I was more sad when Kiyotaka died in the third case, because after he did that insane character change after the second case, where he goes from being this... he's this sort of justice-obsessed... what is he, like a student council president or a disciplinarian?
Hall monitor.
Yeah, hall monitor.
Like a model student.
Yeah, he's a model student disciplinarian, and he forges this really interesting little friendship with Mondo that has me feeling really good about myself, and then he snaps after Mondo's death and takes on this insane second personality, and I'm like, well, all right.
Super Saiyan.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, this guy's
future Trunks.
Exactly. Well, it's like this guy's going to be a complete nutbag the rest of the game, and that could be really entertaining. But that only lasts like 30 minutes before he's the victim in the third case. So, yeah, I think we've been dancing around it a little bit, but all 15 of these characters are completely ludicrous anime stereotypes that are a super exaggerated version of whatever 2 sentences you can use to describe their character. But you do get attached to them, and I like most of the cast of Danganronpa 1. Even the ones that are alive for like 45 minutes total.
I guess before we go much farther, we should step back and actually talk about what the game is, like the basic premise, in case people aren't aware. So you get accepted to a special school for people that are the best at something. And the game starts off, you show up, and you fall asleep, get knocked out.
Hope's Peak Academy is the school name.
And from that, you kind of find out through kind of a series of dialogue that everybody else kind of got knocked out, and also that you're stuck in this building, you're not going to be able to leave, and to be able to leave, you have to murder somebody and get away with it. And that from that...
If this game had come out in the 90s, people would have flipped their crap.
Yeah, and honestly, there's a surprising number of people locked in a weird situation and having to kill each other kind of subgenre of manga and anime. But that's all from the past 10, 15 years or so, you know, like post-Battle Royale. So,
yeah, it's basically Battle Royale or Hunger Games.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. So you can compare Danganronpa to a lot of other recent things, but it's a very unique take on it, and the character work is completely bonkers, which is a blast. But yeah, basically it's 15 students locked in a school. Each one of them is the best at something except for the main character, who's just lucky.
Best at being lucky.
No, he's the best at being lucky, and
he won a lottery, and that is everything about him.
And he's awesome.
He is awesome. Like, I especially love the fact that he's voiced by Bryce Papenbrook. Just because Bryce Papenbrook is like voicing every main character, it seems nowadays. So his voice is kind of ubiquitous. So it kind of suits the fact that you have this kind of like ubiquitous anime protagonist.
Well, I'm a giant nerd, so I decided to play it in Japanese because Kappei Yamaguchi voices one of the characters, and he's in Inuyasha and in One Piece, which are two of my 2000s anime jams.
That'll do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm playing in English. What about you guys?
I should mention I've played this game before, and I played it in English the first time, and this time I'm playing it in Japanese to see what the voice changes are like.
Mike, are you playing on PC as well?
No, I'm playing on Vita.
Oh, I didn't know you had a Vita. Okay.
Yeah, of course I have a Vita.
For some reason, I thought you didn't. That's... I don't know. It's been a long week. I'm sorry.
I probably mentioned it on the Persona 4 podcast that I have a Vita. But
yeah, I was on that with you too. That's kind of disappointing.
It's all good, but this game had a it came out on It's all right. Let me slow myself down. Danganronpa 1 and 2 were PSP games in I think around 2010, but then they got a release on Vita, which in Japan were called Super Danganronpa, and then just 2 years ago, I think maybe 3 years ago, North America and Europe got that Vita version as Danganronpa 1, then Danganronpa 2 a year later. And recently there was a worldwide PC version released, and that was just earlier this year, right?
So there's officially no excuse.
Yeah. If you got a Vita, if you got a PC, if you like it's not exactly a JRPG strictly. If you like visual novels about child murder, then this game comes highly recommended.
Yeah, it's like Ace Attorney meets Persona meets Hunger Games meets Your Worst Nightmares.
It's Battle Royale. Hunger Games.
Pretty much.
PG-13.
Those are all fair comparisons. And the blood is all shocking bright pink, which is an interesting stylistic choice.
It's even better, though, because they refer to it as red.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's always kind of interesting. But, it meshes well with kind of the style of the game, but it is kind of disingenuous at points.
Yeah, the game has a really colorful, trippy pop style that it wears throughout.
It kind of mellows you out for when the really dark stuff happens, which is interesting. Because
Mike, you're gonna be really proud of me.
Oh?
I played this game with the volume on.
Oh, good for you!
Yay! Well done.
So I actually enjoy the music. I enjoy the voice acting when the voice acting is actually done. Sometimes it's annoying.
Yeah, most of the main story scenes are voiced, but the walking around class scenes and the Danganronpa version of Social Links are not voiced.
Yeah.
And sometimes when they have like the 3-word line and then when they speak out loud, it's like, that doesn't make sense with what is typed out.
Take a drink every time Sayaka
says
she's psychic.
I enjoyed that. That was hilarious.
I did enjoy it.
The best moment is when he does it at the end of chapter 1.
That was fun.
Oh,
yes.
so sweet.
Rip Sayaka.
Oh, I thought Sayaka was pretty interesting for being in the game so briefly, because the game, she's a bit of a tease. At the beginning...
A little bit?
Yeah, at the beginning, I basically assumed, the first time I played this game, I basically assumed she would be your sidekick. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
the main character is going to be the detective, and this is his love interest
Awesome.
/ Girl Friday, and then she sort of tries to betray him and is the first victim.
Again,
Yeah.
with those interesting subversions.
Yeah, it's a good
Oh,
setup for the rest of the game.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Alana, but before we continue, I'm shocked we haven't mentioned Monokuma yet.
Oh yes, the
Oh.
most important thing. There's a robot teddy bear
I
who
love
is the school's
Monokuma.
headmaster.
He's
Does
so
it confirm that
good.
he's a robot? Yeah, I guess he has an eye.
Yeah,
That's glowing.
he's
Never
a
mind.
robot.
Yeah, that's-
There are many robot versions of him.
Yeah.
He's being controlled by a mastermind of sorts.
I love him. I love how
Spoilers.
jovial he is.
Absolutely brilliant character.
He is. He goes with everything. So the colourful setting, and I find the colourful setting and Monokuma to be very unnerving. I just feel like I'm trapped in like a really nice, colourful box, and I can't get out. And there's lots of sharp
And you're
things
trapped in the
everywhere.
box with a homicidal bear.
Yeah, so it's nice, but it's also even more unnerving as if you than if you trap me in a dungeon. So it works. But I love Monokuma. I love how he just pops up and he's like, "No, you can't do that." And then he takes the picture from you or whatever you picked up, and he's like, "I'm going to make a new rule now." Ha! And then runs off, and it's like, "Oh, okay. That was really weird."
I want to know how he. I want to know how he does that.
Goes through like the trapdoor on the floor.
Yeah,
There's many of them.
kind of what I'm picturing.
Yeah, it's
Is
not.
that
I don't think it's
Monokuma
really
talks to
explained,
people.
but I mean, the school is basically full of trap doors and hidden passages that Monokuma or the multiple Monokumas, all travel through, and they really give you an idea for like the threat that the game poses right near the beginning, because after you spend a brief time hanging out, everyone meets in the gym together. One of the 15 students speaks out of turn or something. What is it that she does? What is it that Junko does?
She kicks him.
Oh yeah. She
She
kicked.
attacks him.
That's
That's
right.
right.
She kicked a Monokuma robot out of frustration or something. So Monokuma straight up summons spears from the floor and murders her. So there,
Oh, Junko.
yeah. And so, like, right at the beginning, this game's telling you, oh yeah, we're gonna kill people randomly, and Monokuma's completely homicidal and crazy.
In all fairness, though, I think that's the only time it's random.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every other time, at least through end of chapter 3, it's very plainly like this is going to happen because the people are
Yeah.
very idealistic and they don't want to kill each other. So Monokuma gives them some sort of threat or I'm
Incentive.
blanking on the word. Yeah,
Yeah.
incentive. Thank you. And so it's like, all right, well, it's not going to happen right away, but the next night it's going to happen, or it's going to happen tonight. And then they also lead into it with like the closing thought of the protagonist when he goes to bed. Basically, I have a sinking feeling. I was like, well, somebody just died. Or he's like, little did I know that there's going to be tragedy already happening. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, well, somebody
Yeah,
died.
usually once the story starts again, then someone's gonna die.
Yeah, Junko is the only random death like that in the game. Every other one is either a murder that sets up a trial or an execution after a trial. So,
Right.
now Josh mentioned
And I
this.
thought
You go ahead.
I felt like her death was very stereotypical too.
Stereotypical.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're gonna go just really broad stereotype, she was a model, which then you'd say that she has sex appeal, which then most horror stories.
Oh yeah, right. Like
I see where you're...
like the cabin in the woods thing, where the beautiful woman is the first to die.
Right, it's the whore or the whoever like that, and that's I'm not calling her whore because I don't know what she was, but like because she was a model, there's a general, it's implied. And so I thought it was kind of disappointing that she was the one to do it. But also at the same time, I thought it was interesting that she was the one that was angry enough to get physical with Monokuma, where you'd assume it would be somebody like Mondo.
Yeah. I wonder if there's, like we've said already, where the game pulls the carpet out. I wonder if there's something more. I don't know yet, but we'll see, I suppose.
All will be revealed. But I will say this, even though maybe you guys accidentally stumbled upon the ending, because I actually knew who the killer was before I got to the end, because I just got
I spoiled myself.
I got
too.
a little greedy researching it the first time I played this game. So please please avoid doing that so you can be pleasantly surprised. But
I've thankfully not done that, but I have been self-spoiled by every murder.
Oh.
I've literally figured it out within the first 10 seconds before I even start the investigation for all three of them.
Yeah, I maybe not first 10 seconds, but I was able to figure out who the killer was during each investigation. These aren't episodes of Law and Order, or not even that. They're not even episodes.
They're better
of
written
Columbo.
than Law and Order starters.
That's for sure.
They're very procedural, though.
Yeah, and
They are.
And in Columbo, they usually show you the killer at the beginning of the episode. But anyway,
right.
Which is kind of how that's the proceduralness though kind of fits with just the cycle of the game, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the mechanics.
Like
Yeah,
I thought the Celeste murder was the most obvious thing in the world.
It was, and actually I was going to mention this. The bullet time sequence or whatever like happens early in that case with her. It almost flat out gives you the answer.
Yeah.
Like I suspected her at the beginning because she did that really obvious scream when everyone was running between the first and third floor.
Yeah, she's the only one out.
Yeah, and like I didn't know exactly what was happening as it was happening. When I heard her scream to get people out of the third floor and back to the first floor, I knew that that was suspicious and she was probably the killer.
Yeah. That was pretty much the memo I twigged.
And yeah, I'm trying to think in Danganronpa 2, I think the killer is usually less obvious, but Danganronpa 2 also doesn't play by the rules as much. Everything in that game is more convoluted and crazy. But in general, Danganronpa 1, it's usually easy to tell who the killer is, but the fun is more about the journey, about seeking out those contradictions and treating the trial situations where you attack contradictions with evidence and challenge people and play mini games to convince them of things like that. That's the journey of the game, and not figuring out who the killer is and then just entering their name into a box.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also making friends with somebody you really like and then watching them die.
So what are our favorite characters in Danganronpa so far?
Everybody's gonna hate me, but I like
No, he's my favorite. I love Byakuya. Yeah. Because he's such an arsehat.
Slam his stupid face into a microwave.
Oh,
I'm not a fan of his.
He's my second favorite character.
Oh, I love him. I think he's probably my favorite.
He's in another one of the games too, which sucks.
What?
He's in 3 as well, I think. Oh, he will die.
No, he's
I
not.
literally didn't know that.
Well, okay. Well, I'm not going to say who's in what games because I don't want to spoil Survivors. But in Danganronpa 2 has one character from Danganronpa 1 returning.
You did it.
Oh man,
Dangling Grandpa.
This is crazy. Doggone Grandpa. And then Danganronpa V3, which comes out in Japan next year, has all new cast, all new school, separate storyline. But the Danganronpa 3, not V3, 3 anime that's running now is set before is like half set before Danganronpa 2 and half set after Danganronpa 2. So I have no idea what is going on in that anime. It's confusing. And there's a Danganronpa 1 anime, but not a Danganronpa 2 anime. So it's all a total mess. And I think there's 5 or 6 survivors at the end of Danganronpa 1.
Come on, dude.
What? So what?
That's like the whole exciting part.
Well, I just gave you a number. I didn't say who.
Genocide Jill is the best character.
I hate Toko. She is so annoying.
I
hate
so
Toko,
delightful.
but I like Genocide Jill.
I like both of them. I think they have a great dynamic. The Genocide Jill is like my absolute favorite.
I enjoy that she switches back and forth when she sneezes.
Yeah, that's a fun little reference.
Yeah, was that Ranma?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I really like Kyoko. I think she's a badass heroine.
Kyoko's my favorite character as well.
Yeah, Kyoko's great. And I really liked, I've mentioned this before, I really liked Taka, but he didn't last very long. I wish he would have stuck around for another couple chapters.
Yeah.
I like Asahina too. She's cool.
I like Asahina as
Asahina's
well.
cool.
She's adorable.
She's the really
the
big,
swimmer.
strong girl, right?
Yeah, she's the swimmer. No, she's the swimmer.
Hina?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hina.
Hina.
Yeah, Sakura
I like
is
Hina
the
as well.
fighter girl.
I've
Sakura's
been
cool as
slowly
well.
flirting with Hina and Kyoko.
Yep.
By slowly, I mean every day.
Determinedly flirting with Hina and Kyoko. Oh yeah, now also my least favorite character. Oh god, I block him out of my mind most of the time. Yasuhiro. I don't know why the hell he's there. The whole point of his character, the fortune.
Oh, the guy with the fro.
The fortune teller.
Yeah, the point of him being at that school is that he's like the best teenage fortune teller or something. Except he is 22 years old and bad at fortune telling, and his social link he tells you that, and it's like,
I think
why are you here then,
social
man?
commentary though. I think it's literally social commentary. Like there's so much, especially in the Monokuma Theater.
Oh,
I think that I think they purposely do certain things about individuals to have an additional element of social commentary. I think everything about him is social commentary on what they think about that whole field of things.
Sure, I mean, attacking Miss Cleo and her brethren of the world is fine, I guess, but I just think he's annoying as a character. He was an obvious red herring in the third case. And and the whole point of the game is that, or not the whole point of the game, but the conceit behind the school is that it's the best students in their field, and he is bad at fortune telling and not even a teenager, which I find head scratching, and I think is annoying.
Yeah, it can be.
I think there's much more annoying characters than that.
Celeste was my least favorite, but she gone, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed when her voice changed during the trial.
That was good. Yeah, I liked that. How it changed multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love it in both of the Danganronpa games when someone has to make their last stand and they sort of snap and you have to present the final piece of evidence after you play that rhythm game thing.
I hate that rhythm game.
I did the very first time I played it, I passed with like a C or something because I got it all wrong. But once you figure it out, it's easy. But I love it when the character like snaps and just shouts insane stuff at you, and then you have to hit them with that final piece of evidence super dramatically. And I thought it was cool in the second case where instead of having Mondo defend himself, it was Taka like determined to defend Mondo, and you had to basically battle Taka in the final scene.
Yeah,
I thought that was a neat little subversion.
That was a neat little touch. Oh, Taka.
The relationship was very interesting. I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm. Again, I miss Taka. He was one of my favorites.
Taka, in all honesty, was one of my least favorite characters. He wasn't interesting until he got depressed. Then all of a sudden, I found him very interesting.
I didn't like him in the first case, but then after the friendship with Mondo up to his death, he was one of my favorites.
I just loved how ridiculously intense he was all the time. It was just so funny. But yeah, after Mondo, the bit in the hot bath where they were just having the man contest for like, who's going to last the longest. I loved that. That was so good.
And that man contest that ended up breaking his handbook was one of the pieces of evidence that sunk him.
Yeah. So interesting.
It was a neat
touch. They do a very good... I think it's very obvious the main elements of the murders and kind of... Even really the evidence in a lot of regards are very, very easy. It's easy to piece together. But they have those small twists that I do enjoy. The e-handbook being one. The watch originally. There's just little things like that. Or even the third murder, if you didn't catch on that Hifumi...
The big nerd guy?
The nerd.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's dead too.
He was actually my least favorite character.
He was my least favorite.
I have a feeling he's a lot of people's least favorite. I didn't dislike him as much as other characters, but I'm not going to defend him.
But I really enjoyed that they had the side fridge of blood, and it's not even a clue. But it was one of those things, it was like the ultimate clue to a person that if they did come across it, that it was very obvious, then more so than anything else, that he used this blood to pour on him. They have just those little clues here or there, and some of them seem super unimportant, and they end up being the ultimate kind of linchpin in the argument. I think those are really well written.
Cases 2 and 3 both do that, where a major piece of evidence is left more to the game to tell you than for you to figure out on your own. With Chihiro's gender being the one from case 2. And I'm not sure how I feel about that, because on the one hand, it does sort of it recontextualizes the whole case and kind of lets you put things together on your own. But on the other hand, it almost kind of feels like cheating at points.
Yeah, but how else would they do it? Would they do that stupid spelling mini game?
Oh, the spelling minigame's the worst one.
Oh,
It does suck, but
I mean, that's the only other way they could do it.
Do it. It's just one of those things where it's like, this is a major point in the case, but it's something the game just kind of like nudges you along with. And yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
I mean,
could I ask a question,
Sure.
Peter?
Mhm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you not realize that she was a boy before that?
I didn't.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, that would suck. I would agree that'd be really annoying, because for me I was like, well, this is really obvious, and so that was like, it was nice that they finally admitted it, and so for me it was like, okay, they're doing something that I already have realized by myself, so it's not surprising or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see where for you, if
Yeah.
you didn't already realize it, that would be kind of
Well, and
it'd be
with
too
Chihiro,
easy.
With Chihiro, it's one thing because there are hints at it, and you could probably make the argument for that and then figure it out from there. But the fridge full of blood, like you mentioned, is one of those things where if they mentioned it, it would break the case. So I totally get why they don't mention it, which is why the fact that it's such a critical part in the case feels kind of like the game, not like you're cheating, but like the game is cheating.
Well, I wouldn't call it the
Yeah.
game cheating. It's more just like it's a little bit too much follow the evidence, because the trials are so rigidly scripted. You're always going to be presented with the ideas of the evidence and what the students think the case is, sort of as it progresses. So sometimes it basically will tell you things that maybe would have been more fun to figure out on your own. Sometimes it actually does give you a little bit of agency where you have to choose from a list of evidence which truth bullet to shoot or something like that. But but it's I agree, they could have had it been a little bit more open and a little bit less just telling you what happened. But can I get to one thing that bothered me? I know two of you, Josh and Alana, both mentioned they really like Byakuya, but
Go for it.
I never trusted Byakuya after he sabotaged a crime scene.
That was the best, though.
It was
That was really
dumb.
clever.
Like the whole point. He didn't know who the killer was.
He did.
No, he
He
didn't.
didn't know who the killer was. He saw the killer.
He saw the killer.
Oh yeah, okay. He knew that Mondo killed him. I'm sorry. What he did not know was that Chihiro was a girl. That was a surprise to him during the trial.
yeah.
But he could have just let them survive, and by confiding, oh, I saw the killer, or at least hinting at it if he wanted to be coy about it. But instead, he tries to frame Genocide Jill by rearranging the crime scene, even though he already knows who the killer is. That strikes me as just a little bit too far.
It's fantastic.
It
though.
was
The worst
good.
part about that to me is that he sabotages. Well, he kind of violates Toko's trust by doing that, and I'm not saying like Toko acts like she's not a nice person at the beginning of the game. I'm trying to choose my words carefully, but she still confided in him, even if her secret was BT Dubs, I'm a closet serial killer.
She didn't tell him that. He knew. He figured that out.
No, she said flat out.
She said, yeah.
That she told him the night before, and he decided immediately after he was going to use that for his little game. And that's not cool. Like, the fact that she follows him around everywhere now is my favorite thing about Genocide Jill, because he totally deserves it.
He gained her respect though by doing it, which is kind of funny.
And I'm gonna mention.
creepy.
Does
She's
abuse her a
creepy
little. Yeah, and he does abuse her trust and abuse her a little bit, and that is troublesome. But
I don't necessarily wouldn't betray my friend, although he doesn't consider him a friend, so it's not really betraying a friend. But
Yeah, he's a D-bag.
I could totally see like his motivations for this, and I mean they're stuck here for the rest of their lives. Hypothetically, you need to get some sort of enjoyment, entertainment out of something. So I could see where he'd just be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna mess with this."
Yeah, but he's also doing it to like test
Learn.
Makoto.
Yes.
Yeah, He's doing it to get Makoto to go, right, I want to see if you're the person I can trust. Do this. Can you figure this out? He does.
Was it directed at Makoto, or maybe Makoto and Kyoko, or just like the rest of the group at large?
He's testing the group to see who his threats are.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Do you think he would have stopped? I mean, I didn't get a game over.
He said he would.
He said he would have stopped the trial and told everyone that Mondo did it if they were all about to vote on Makoto or something?
Yeah, he was like, I would have told everybody.
All right.
Which again, it's like, okay, that's cool.
I don't think it's cool though, because I mean, for the rest of the game, they basically trust him like a normal person, even though he tampered with the crime scene. That's BS.
The whole group is a bunch of idiots, basically, though.
In Danganronpa 2, there's a similar character who rigs a crime scene, and after that happens, they try to lock him in a cabin. Like he becomes a bit of a pariah after he pulls that BS. But
play Danganronpa 2.
Yeah.
I think Danganronpa 2 is well, I like 2 more than 1, but I think that really depends on just which cast you like better, because both games you spend a lot of time with the cast, and they're all ridiculous anime characters that clash in interesting ways. So I like 2 a little more than 1. I'm not sure if that's the common or uncommon opinion, but they're both good and worth playing. But that just seems like a more reasonable reaction to someone that tampered with the crime scene than Byakuya. And the other bit that confused me a little bit, even though this doesn't make me upset, was Makoto could not figure out the whole death timing thing between Taka's death and Hifumi's death, even though Hifumi was alive and told him a dying message.
Yeah. They never picked up on that in the case, did they?
Yeah, they didn't.
It was a really bizarre thing, because it was such an obvious, like, he's not dead. So why didn't you just go...
And then the second half of that is, Hifumi's dying words were, it was, Celeste's real name.
Yasuhiro.
Yeah, he says Yasuhiro. First of all, why would he say Yasuhiro instead of Celeste? And second,
they explained that at the end of the case.
Yeah, they explained that in the case.
Yeah, that bit they pick up on, but just the rest of it.
He refers to, yeah.
He refers to everybody by their last name. Yeah.
I know, but it's. I thought that was needless obfuscation.
It is needless.
But the whole dying message and that I thought was, both of those things seemed a little incongruous to me. But still, it's fun, convoluted anime murder mystery nonsense, and I am in full support of that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, it's a legit criticism, and it's the same problem I have with some of the weirder logic in some of the cases.
Yeah,
but it comes together pretty well, and it's interesting to follow the crazy train of logic as it goes too. So,
and I think it's I kept seeing like similarities between this and Persona. Insofar, Persona 4 specifically.
Yeah.
That the casts are, and there's a school obviously, but that the casts are so enjoyable and so endearing that even the characters that you don't necessarily like much, like you have a connection to them. And so even if like you're not a fan of RPGs, I feel like Persona could drag you through the RPG just by the characters alone. And the same thing with this, whereas like you might not enjoy the style of either like the courtroom kind of scenes or the idea of a visual novel. The characters are so enjoyable and so endearing that it could drag you through the process. And so I kept seeing that kind of like, oh yeah, like this is kind of Persona-esque to me.
It also helps that Danganronpa is like maybe 20 or 25 hours, while Persona 4 is 80 or 90. So I think, I think Danganronpa is a little bit of an easier sell, but
yeah.
It's super enjoyable visual novel. It predicates on some really insane twists. If you guys don't know how the second half of the game goes, you're in for a wild ride. And anyone that has, that isn't immediately turned off by the look and sound of this game, I think should at least try it, because it's very fun murder mystery anime chaos.
Yeah, we left off on a really good cliffhanger. Whoever picked us finishing on Chapter 3, I thought that was a really good choice. The combination of finding out that Sakura is like working with Monokuma, and then also the fact that you go to a secret file room, and then hypothetically Student 16 knocks you out, guessing that's student 16.
I believe that is the culprit, basically. The mastermind knocks you out.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Because they're wearing a mask that looks similar to the eyes on the black half of Monokuma.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay, yeah, that's fair. But we're starting to get a lot of these bigger secrets that I'm hoping the second half is going to kind of solve. I mean, specifically the picture with Chihiro, Mondo, and I can't remember who the third person was.
Well, there's two pictures, isn't there? So, we had the second picture.
Yeah, the two pictures are pictures of the murder victims from the first couple cases, all hanging out and having a nice time.
Yeah.
Oh,
In-
baseball.
in the
Leon.
Leon, yeah.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
you're kind of like, how did this happen? And so there's a lot there beyond even just kind of the courtroom scenes of trying to figure things out. There's a broader scope of all of this, which is turning out. I'm finding the broader scope to be even more interesting. I kind of get through the court scene, but I want to see where the characters end up and the relationships with them, and hypothetically they have to get out of the school at some point. So I'm trying to figure out.
I'm not going to say anything about the big picture of this game to avoid spoilers, but please look forward to it.
So here's a complete. This has been puzzling me, so I'm interested to see everybody else's opinion. So you start at 15, or it's supposed to be 16, and you keep working your way down, and I think we're at 7 now.
Sounds right.
If you're just the last one alive, do you get to leave? So like, if it comes down to 2, and I murder the other person, I'm not going to vote myself guilty in the court case, so would I be able to go home?
Well, yeah, you'd get away with it, wouldn't you? Because there's nobody to pick apart your case.
So you win by default?
Yeah, I would imagine
You'd have to get away with murder, because otherwise,
like
if there was a trial right before then, it would have been you and versus the killer, and no one else.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I feel like
is it just like a hung jury because you aren't going to vote for yourself?
I feel like Monokuma would have invented a new rule just for that occasion, though. He seems to be a pretty resourceful fellow.
It never comes down to a final 2. So,
I kind of figured they wouldn't do that because it's just kind of anticlimactic at that point. You want to have some sort of camaraderie as you're trying to escape. It's kind of. I started puzzling that out. It's like, you know what? Just lock yourself in the room, hang out there, never come out. You'll eventually win.
So speaking of the trials, one of the things we wanted to talk about, I believe, was the mechanics of the trials themselves, which are kind of your like Ace Attorney-esque court cases, but they also have these mini games that you have to play at certain points to put together evidence. How do we feel about those? I
don't love them. I wish there were fewer of them, or maybe
I agree,
or at least better designed ones. In Danganronpa 2, I think there's more of them, but they're a little better. Yeah. They're more fun.
I'm playing with the action difficulty on low, so a lot of the more
gentle.
So like I don't get like the scam lines or anything like weird like that. Because I just didn't want to bother with it. But even the ones they do have at times like are a little kind of, they're a bit head scratching. Like the rhythm mini game we mentioned already. The spelling game is easy. It's just dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And
Schizo is kind of difficult.
So it's just
that caught me off guard at first.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things.
I overall really, really I love the court scenes, but I hate them. I like the back and forth. I don't even I enjoy like where they're coming off the conversations. You have to pick that part. I enjoy that element, and I enjoy the final whatever where you go through and you put the little circles in.
Like the manga,
the manga panels. I love the manga panels.
Like those panels are fantastic. Like that is the best part of that trial.
Having to reconstruct, basically, you reconstruct a comic that shows exactly what happened during the murder using a list of panels and sort of a manga with a bunch of blank panels, and it's great. I wish they would remove more mini games and like make that longer or something.
Yeah, the rhythm games though is awful. The spelling game's annoying, and even the conversation of pointing out the errors in logic. Sometimes that's illogical. because they'll have basically two spots that you can disagree that would be the exact same. Like you'd still be like, this is the same thing. So it's just kind of nitpicky.
Yeah, it's not easily communicated what the right one is when a couple choices are really communicating the same thing.
Yeah.
So
I wish there was a better way that they did the court scenes for that in that regard.
Yeah.
I
More
think
problematic,
in
in my opinion, is the controls.
The controls are
Sorry,
terrible.
Alana.
the controls are pretty rough.
I really it screws me up every time. But it's supposed to be dual stick. Like I'm walking around a place. Let me just dual stick around.
Oh yeah, dual stick for the shooting segments too, right?
It's
I'm
just
largely just using the
Yeah.
touch screen at this point, but
Oh, I found that worse.
there's a delay sometimes.
I use the back
This
touch
is
screen
annoying.
to clear out noise words. Because if you just rapidly tap on the back,
Oh.
that knocks out the white noise words that can get in your way quite easily. But
Yeah.
I agree that the controls during the scenes are a little bit lacking. And we should mention the PSP Danganronpa game that came out last year, the one that's sort of a guide-end chapter in between 1 and 2. That
Another
is a
episode?
straight-up action... What? Excuse me?
Ultra Despair Girls.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
That one is basically a straight-up action shooter. So I sort of think that the Danganronpa team just wants to make a gallery shooting game. And that was their way of getting around all of the, courtroom and evidence BS and just making a shooter.
Yeah,
I haven't
they
played
s-
Ultra Despair Girls, though. I've played 1 and 2, but I've not played that one yet.
It stars the main character's sister, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
in the first case, you remember that they basically threaten each character with a picture of family or friends, and then a vague threat about something happening to one of them.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, basically, my understanding is Ultra Despair Girls is everyone that was being held hostage for that bands together and tries to fight back against something. So it's like
It's supposed to happen at the same time.
yeah, it happens around the same time as 1. So the main characters of Ultra Despair Girls are the friends and family of the cast of Danganronpa 1.
Okay.
And Makoto's sister's the main character.
interesting.
But overall, the controls are crap. It's one of those funny things because I feel like now we've kind of bagged on the game for a couple minutes now, and overall, like as much as I hate those controls and there's parts of the court scene that I really really don't like, it hasn't diminished my enjoyment of the game in the least bit.
No, because they're like little segments. Like, they don't take up a lot. There's enough going on around the game to enjoy more than the controls. Like, the controls are so minimal. Like, the visual novels, something I always struggle with is, like, when you review a visual novel, like, how do you score the controls? This is a little bit different. This is different because it's, like, mini games, which I'd expect in a visual novel. But this is kind of, like, not great. I think what bugs me most about them is the delay in the shooting. Like,
It's so bad.
Yeah,
It's
That
so
gets really
bad.
hard to. Yeah, that's annoying.
it's like
the-
playing a rhythm game where everything is off by a half second. So
It
Yeah.
always happens like later than you think it's going to.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
It doesn't.
But the
feel
nice thing is
responsive
there's
enough.
workarounds for everything because I hate walking around, so I just teleport everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
I hate the delay, but then you just pause everything during the court scenes because you hit the right trigger and it freezes for like 5 to
Oh,
6
yeah.
seconds.
I
And
always
then-
forget that.
That solves that delay problem. The nice thing is there are workarounds, which is nice that they included it. But then it's kind of to my mind, it's like, well, they knew this was a problem. They should have just made it
Mhm.
better.
And a
But
lot
at
of
least
the,
there is a way to fix it.
and I know this isn't like a reflection on the game itself, but a lot of the achievements in the game are actually locked behind not using any of those like helping hands, basically.
Yeah.
Like
But there's a
There's one-
glitch.
Literally.
There's a glitch in the trophies, so you get them if you just do it for one scene or like one courtroom instead of the
I
whole
don't
game.
think it's a glitch in the trophy so much as it is a mistranslation of the trophy description.
That's fair. No matter what, there was a mistake made.
There was a mistake made.
Mistakes were made, and I got a handful of the trophies by accident because I forgot about like the freeze meter. So in the first time I played the game, I got that trophy during the second case because I didn't realize that I could use that meter.
Right.
But and a lot of the trophies are attached to this real dumb. I say mini game, but it's a mini game that takes like hours to finish. At this post game thing you can mess around with, but and a lot of
Yeah.
a lot of trophies are attached to that, which is frustrating. I played that game a little bit and didn't like it. But yeah, I mean the whole point of Danganronpa is these crazy characters.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
It's basically just an excuse to meet, to hang out with everybody more, right? Because you don't have much time to hang out with the characters.
Yeah, well, I guess this isn't a spoiler. The mini game at the end is sort of a little resource management game where where there's no murder and all 15 of you are locked in the school together, and you're freed once you do enough tasks for Monokuma. So it's you doing tasks for Monokuma and counting supplies and stuff, and still doing those sort of social link-esque scenes with long conversations with the other characters. So it's basically just it's a game that's only about hanging out with characters and walking around the school with no murder and no trials. And that sort of defeats the purpose of it to me. So I played that for 30 minutes and decided that it wasn't something I had to do.
I don't know. I could see you enjoying that because I really enjoy my dates that I go on with Kyoko and Ina. So more
Josh
dates.
just wants to play the dating game. Right?
Yeah, more dates. Let's do this.
For the intro to this episode, I'm just going to use the theme song from the 70s dating game.
I really enjoy that, and it was. I was kind of nervous at first because I knew you had to interact with all these people, and it's like, all right, they're setting up my girlfriend. My girlfriend tried to kill me, so I'm back on the market. I'm eager to mingle.
I know this is going back
He's
to our...
single and ready to mingle, ladies.
Makoto is super single. He is nervous as hell talking to any woman in this game.
Yeah, he's not very lucky with that, is he?
No, he's not. He's only lucky at getting picked for class, I guess. And but going back to when we were discussing what we liked and disliked about cases, I really liked the setup for the first case because it puts Sayaka in a more interesting, conflicted light, where she clearly gets an idea for a plot to frame Makoto by killing Leon, and it backfires, and then Makoto realizes with Kyoko's help that it backfired because she hesitated and maybe didn't want to set up Makoto. So it's like, in a way that puts Sayaka in a darker light, but also a sort of forgiving light at the end. It was a cool introduction to the whole murder motivation trial part of Danganronpa that I thought set the tone well.
It was a very good emotional roller coaster.
And it was just a good first case, because I mean, how many times you play these visual novels or Phoenix Wright games or whatever, and the first case is just kind of boring and easy. This one had character stuff in it, and I really enjoyed it. I think the first case is probably one of the best two of the game or so. It's my favorite of the first three.
It's the most emotionally interesting. I would say the third one's the most mechanically interesting. Because you have people that aren't dead that are kind of working behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time...
There's also a giant robot costume, which immediately elevates it a little bit.
So I've been playing through it, and obviously it's very Japanese. But it never struck me as very Japanese. And then they're like, here's a picture of a giant robot. And I'm like, oh, that's right, Japan. Yep. Okay.
It struck me as very Japanese the whole time, I should mention. But sure, the giant robot is definitely very Japanese.
Giant robot for sure made it obvious. The second one was probably my least favorite of the cases. Just because I thought, I guess second and third I found super, super obvious. But I don't know. I enjoyed the first one for how much of an emotional roller coaster you have there. Because there's a massive amount of betrayal there. Because there is so much implications that she is going to be like your lifelong partner, you know?
Yeah, again, I think it was a bit of a bait and switch where she's like, okay, this is going to be the game. She's going to be the sidekick, and she's this cute idol girl that is very, very Japanese RPG. Because I mean, how many Japanese RPGs have the four of us played with pop idols in them recently? Don't answer that. But
Rise's still the best one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Rise's the best pop idol. I'll accept that.
Yes.
But yeah, like it seems like they're setting her up to be a main character, and instead she's the first victim and doesn't make it to hour 2, which I thought was an interesting choice.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, that was the only bad thing. So I've avoided all spoilers. But when I first wanted to play this game, when I first bought it, like a year ago or whatever, right beforehand I watched the anime. and I watched like the first 3 episodes, and so I had gotten to where the case starts in the anime. I was like, yeah, I like this. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to move on. So I'd already known that she died.
Okay.
And so that was kind of disappointing for this regard, or like for when I played through it, because I already knew that was going to occur. But at the same time, like I remember when I was watching it, like it was like, holy crap, like. And so that was it wasn't as good of a surprise as it would have been, but it was still kind of emotionally resonant at the time. And there's a gold sword, some pro gold swords.
Is that one of the random items you can get in the capsule machine or something?
No, it was.
It was what he used to defend himself in that case. Right, my bad.
The capsule machine is secretly the best part of the game.
There are so many completely random items you get out of that capsule machine. I naturally thought, oh, gold sword, capsule machine, sure.
See, I haven't even used the capsule machine because I have to get the trophy for 999 coins.
Oh right, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
you can't spend them if you want that. You don't.
No,
you need to possess all 999.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel bad now.
Yeah. So for people going for the trophies, don't spend any coins until you get 999, and spend all your coins to get all the items. Save it on a separate file, then reload the original with the 999. Buy all the scenes so you can get that trophy. Then go back to the save that has all the capsules that you've bought, and then you give those as gifts to make sure you max out all of your social links.
Yeah, it's hard to max out social links without spending a little money to get items, because those gifts help you with that.
So, sorry, Peter. We should have had this podcast.
I'm using the second playthrough to actually do more social link stuff, because my first playthrough I did what you did and didn't spend anything, because I wanted to get that trophy and I didn't really know how the capsule stuff worked.
I think you're just supposed to grind it out in the school mode anyway, so...
Yeah, that school mode, I don't find it fun, but if you want to get a lot more dialogue out of these characters, then they have it for you.
And I always find that interesting, because I'm not giving any presents, because I don't have any presents to give.
Right.
And so you have, and I'm always with Kyoto, and she's like, let's go drink tea. I'm like, well, that is boring, but let's go do that. And so we drink tea, and we come back, and for some reason we walk back to the room that's really far away, and they're like, do you want to give a gift? And I was like, no. And then because I don't give her a gift, they're like, it went up a little bit, but now she's going to talk to me. I was like, what would have happened if I gave her a gift? Would she talk to you more?
You'd be completing those social link events faster, basically.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. It's kind of like, I wish at this point the game would also realize I don't have any gifts, so stop asking me because I feel guilty then.
Well, it does. They give you gifts for clearing the trials, but they're gifts related to the guy who's dead.
If I'm going to be romantic, I'm not going to give her a robot.
Here's my dead friend's robot.
Yeah, come on, Peter. Step it up.
I'm sorry, my bedside manner is lacking.
I haven't even been able to progress to bedside manner yet. I'm physics room manner at the moment.
I should try that. Please take my best friend's robot pickup line sometime.
Yep.
That sadly will probably work for you.
It would work on me, but maybe it wouldn't work if I was using it on someone. It would depend on the woman, obviously.
Obviously.
But ladies, yeah, if you want to charm me, just give me your dead friend's robot, and I am putty in your hands.
Is it a requirement that it has to be from a dead friend? Can it just be a robot?
Not a requirement, but, I mean, dead friend's robot is much more interesting than have this robot.
I'm not going to say what I'm thinking right now.
Oh, God.
That's a first.
I'm not sure how we got here, but here we are.
So did anybody have any huge surprises? I know there's obviously big ones. There's kind of ones tied to each case, but did anybody find anything else really surprising, or any of those surprising the cases really strike you as odd? We've kind of talked about some of them, but didn't really go into what everybody found either as their favorite or the ones that really caught them off guard.
I think Sakura being the spy is quite a big shock, because Sakura's, I think, like Mondo came across as the loyal biker, but Sakura seemed like the loyal, like her and Hina were basically inseparable, but to find out that she was the spy, especially when everyone thought it was either Kyoko or Byakuya, I was like, oh, and I felt really bad, because she's doing it.
I'm curious what her motivation is.
I feel like I feel like I've got a feeling, but I don't know yet. I mean, I have gone slightly beyond where we are, but not far enough to know yet. So But I really liked her, and I really like her and Hina together. They're so adorable together, and I don't want anything bad to happen to her, but I really, I'm thinking that, so something's obviously going to happen.
Hopefully.
Well, as soon as we're done
betrayed
recording this,
you.
you can start chapter 4, so...
But she's fighting...
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, so she's fighting with Monokuma, though, so surely she's rebelling. Doesn't she say in that end bit, possibly?
Yeah, she wasn't going to do it anymore. But I also am
Yeah.
upset because she broke a rule, so she should get killed.
Yeah, but he's conscious of it and training, so he's training her deliberately, I think. Oh, no, he's not training, because obviously she's rebelling, but there's a reason.
Oh,
you can
of
break the
course.
rules. Yeah.
When you're a deadly bear, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can catch yourself in a grisly situation. You can do the unbearable thing.
Do you know, I was thinking about the Persona 4 podcast with this game and all the puns that you pulled, and yeah, I was waiting for that.
I had to learn a lot of bear puns for that episode. So.
So, yeah.
I don't really...
Chihiro's twist, going back, I know it was one of those that was surprised. I didn't see it coming, but I honestly it's a little problematic, it seems to me.
How so?
And I'm trying to tread lightly on this, but
Would
so
you
when
say
my first
insensitive, problematic, or...
yeah, kind of like, so my first thought when it was not Chihiro's a boy, but Chihiro's trans ? Which made me think Naoto, which is another case where it's kind of left ambiguous, but the localizers were definitely leaning towards making it more like cis friendly, and it's just one of those things where I'm not sure like if this is a good representation in the case of that character, or if I'm just overthinking it way too much. I don't know.
You overthought it compared to what I thought of it, but I think I underthought it. So
I'm going to try to tread lightly a little bit as well. I don't think Chihiro is trans because she expressed a want to be tough and manly like Mondo is.
I think it's a reflection that she doesn't feel like she's a man because she's weak. And that's like when she talks about telling everybody her secret. She's like, when I get strong and I can be what I am, then I can tell everybody is my secret, because then I qualify in her personal mind of what a guy is.
Yeah, but that in and of itself is kind of a I don't know. I didn't feel the way that entire thing played out. I was just like not sure where this is going, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
a lot of Japanese fiction, and whether it's games or anime or what have you, does not treat cross-dressing or transsexuality in a very sensitive way. So it's being a little bit hesitant about that is very reasonable. But I don't know. I guess I wasn't that bothered by it. I mean, I was more bothered by the fact that Chihiro was brutally murdered after coming out. Sort of. It's like, whoa, okay.
Also, in all fairness, and this doesn't give it a pass, but the game is 7 years old, almost. And so it's one of those things that I think, to not get political and stay away from that, the way that whole topic is viewed, I think, has changed greatly over the last couple of years. So first of all, it's Japan, so kind of whole different can of worms there. But also, it's so much, it's long enough ago that how those issues were treated and the level of care that now was placed around that, I definitely don't think was used at the time. And so it's easy to think, oh, this game came out in 2015, or I think it came out in the US in 2015 on the Vita, right?
2014, I think.
Okay. Like, then if it had been made for those, like, 2014, 2015, then it's like, yeah. But you reverse it all the way back to 2010, like, rolling it back that far, it's like, this wasn't really in the conscious thought, or at least as popular in conscious thought of how to treat this more appropriately.
Well, maybe, but also, I mean, Japan is more conservative about those ideas than the United States is for the most part, and most of Europe for sure. So I don't know. I wouldn't give it a pass based on when it was made. I agree that it might be a little troubling depending on how you interpret Chihiro's character, and Chihiro's a likable positive character, I would say, for the most part at least. But I don't know. I didn't read too much into the trans sensitivity of the game, although I admit it could be a little problematic.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to like throw shade where there isn't any. It's just
Right.
it's just a thought that was occurring to me as I was playing through that case. Like I said,
Yeah.
For me, the biggest problem I had is I feel like she finally became interesting, or sorry, he finally became interesting, but he didn't become interesting until after he was dead. So I kind of found that annoying. That's the same reason, like, I kind of find some of the stuff with Taka a little annoying. He finally had become an interesting character, and then they chose to kill him off.
That's probably the point, though.
Yeah, I get that, but it's kind of annoying because you've had to put up with these characters up until that point. And I didn't like Chihiro. He was so far in the background that I didn't even notice that he was basically there.
Oh.
Sorry.
No.
But
that's kind of and that's a problem with a cast that big too.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of. Do now I like all the characters and find all of them interesting? Is it because they're actually some of the most interesting characters, or is it because at this point now I've spent so many more hours with them
Right.
comparatively? But then I look at Sayaka.
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 I found her interesting from the beginning, so it's not an easy pass. But you are right, Peter. There's so many characters; it's hard to give the amount of weight that each character deserves.
And you mentioned one thing about Taka getting interesting and then dying. I read a developer commentary about Danganronpa 2. I'm going to avoid spoilers, but in one case, a character has a very dramatic turn, right? Maybe similar to Taka's, and their original plan was to have that character be the victim in the next case, but they ended up backing down from that because they felt it would be unfair to that character's turn from that. So they ended up changing during the planning stage who the victim of that case would be, which I thought was an interesting approach, because when these guys write these things, they really do take things into effect, like who they want people to stick with through the rest of the game, and what characters deserve more time, as opposed to characters that maybe are better suited to the background.
Sure. So overall, everybody, it seems like, is very positive on the game. Thumbs
Yeah,
up.
I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
I look forward to y'all's Twitter reactions to the insane crap that happens in chapters 5 and 6.
Oh, we've already
Peter-
had a few good ones.
Peter,
I
you
can't
don't
wait.
count because you cheated, as you always do.
How did I
Um,
cheat?
You looked up who's the.
Well, I didn't
person
look it up.
every time. Every time we deal with this with you. And Mike,
Look,
you've already
it's called-
played it,
It's
but
called having too much free time. Okay.
Alana, where do you think everything's going?
Oh, I don't know where everything's going, but I think I know who the mastermind is because my friend played this a year ago and likes this character. So I feel like I know who it is.
That is possible.
And
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I'm not going to ask you. I wanted you to say the name. I wanted you to be on the record, but
Oh.
we'll leave
Do you
it
want me
at
to
that.
say a name? But
Well, if you actually think that the person ruined it for you, then no.
okay. Oh, right. No, I won't say.
Based on what Alana said, I think Alana should stay quiet. I mean, even if you know who the culprit is, the ending of Danganronpa, or the last, the final stretch of it is completely bonkers and totally entertaining.
Yeah, we're ramping up to
Yeah.
something that's really, really exciting. And I think all of us have mentioned this now. As soon as we do end this recording, I have plans to start playing right away on Chapter 4, and then depending on how quickly I get through everything, because I have a plane trip coming up, I'm going to just probably turn that right into the second game. I'm really, really enjoying it. So this is just going to be one of those things. It's monopolized my time for the last week. It's monopolized a lot of my kind of like free time thought as well. Just kind of reasoning out, like thinking about the characters because they have been so interesting. Kind of thinking about why people are doing certain things and where this is going. And so I've enjoyed it so much. I'm ready to immediately go on and just. I'd like replay these games because I'd find it interesting enough. I would keep going with this one, but the style of it and how it handles a lot of things has me so hooked. I want another fresh take on it, so I'm just gonna jump right into 2 right afterwards.
2's great. I liked it slightly more than the first one, but again, that's for very subjective reasons. Like I thought that the trial situations and the characters were a little more appealing in 2 for me, but that's totally subjective. I'm not gonna argue with anyone which one's better.
So and I haven't played 2, but I'm already viewing that I feel like at least setting wise, I'm gonna enjoy 1 much more.
Yeah, the islands in 2 are goofy. You're on a chain of touristy islands connected by bridges.
And we've talked. I know we've talked about this on the podcast before, but there's an element of horror to this suspense. We've talked about on this podcast before that to have truly successful horror, a lot of times where it really shines is having something familiar and something that you, at least to a certain regard, feel safe, or you have not had like personal trauma. And so, like we've talked about horror before on this, we talked about having something happen at your house.
Yeah, like having a safe space have its safeness compromised or violated.
Right, and then all of us have been to school. Like you might have been bullied there, so it's not like a fully safe space, but it is something familiar, and you've never been locked in there with metal, like not even bars, but whatever, covering the windows. Yeah. And so there is a familiarity to it. It is like that's why I think a lot of times with these RPGs, having them in a school setting, it adds such an element to it because everybody can relate to it. And I'm worried that with the second one, that's going to be lost. Yes, I've gone on vacation. Yes, I've been on islands. But I feel like that just won't relate as well to me as the school setting has.
Sure.
We can have that conversation TBD.
Yeah, we could do a bonus round on Danganronpa 2 if you guys want to revisit this later. But I like Danganronpa 2 more for situation and character reasons. I agree the setting in 1 is better, especially since like my least favorite investigation phase in either game is the 4th case in Danganronpa 2. That whole part was miserable. But they're both good. I think anyone that is interested in this genre of game really ought to try Danganronpa. It's excellent. I think when Derek reviewed it a few years ago, he gave it a 90 on RPG Fan. So
nice.
So
yeah, I'm not even convinced that I enjoy visual novels. I've still been trying to reason that out. But I greatly enjoy this, and it's to the point that I don't even really consider it a visual novel, as stupid as that is, but it just doesn't strike me with a lot of the same tropes or like gameplay elements that I get annoyed with or bored with. This is just it's so entertaining that it's dragged me through. So it's been a lot of fun.
Do you think it's because you're walking through corridors rather than just like clicking things and reading more than because there's a higher like there's more of an equal balance between gameplay and reading as opposed to most visual novels.
All the visual novels I've played, which aren't a lot, I will readily admit that, there is no branching paths. There's no, like, even just the element of who you're going to spend time with, that's enough branching to me that I feel like I'm making a decision. And with that, you're getting different skills, so you are kind of leveling up your character.
I don't think we mentioned that doing those different social links gives you different selections of skills.
Yeah, that's true. Use
during trial. I don't think we mentioned that yet. Whoops.
No. Yeah, and so I would love for it to go a step further. We kind of mentioned about having some sort of flexibility. I think this game becomes unbelievably fantastic to me, and I hate time mechanics, but having some loose time mechanic with the searching for clues and have it that if you don't find the clues in this room, you don't have them for the case, because it is kind of annoying where it's like, all right, well, you found everything in this room, you should move on. You're like, well, I want to click on this. Nope, I found everything in this room, you should move on. And then you happen to find another clue, and it's like, well, I still want to go look over there. I'm like, nope, you found all the clues, so we're just going to go to the court case. There'd be a little bit more agency in your actions, so I would enjoy that since it's supposed to be kind of a restricted time period. But I think I agree with you, Alana, that there's the wandering around, the little interactions, the conversations, that's just enough to make it seem less linear than a traditional visual novel that I've played.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, there's still pixel hunting and, clicking around a screen to find exactly the thing that you need to make the story progress. But I do like that it has fast travel and that it has some first-person walking around to make it feel a little bit more video gamey.
Yeah, it's more interactive.
I feel like it's just enough to make it... I've heard that argument of like, well, really, are you playing a game if you're doing a visual novel? Or are you just reading like a book? Or are you watching TV? And it's like, well, it's whatever. We're not going to touch that. But I think
needless categorization. Is this an RPG? Yeah. How about you just shut up?
Yeah, it's enough segments that it feels like you aren't just clicking.
Yeah.
And that's I think it wasn't necessary because I have enjoyed the characters so much. I think I'd have been fine either way. But I think having the interaction levels that there are there have been kind of like, I guess, cherry on top of a wonderful sundae.
Now I kind of want to replay the second one after this.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, now I kind of want to go get an ice cream sundae.
Oh, I could do with one.
I might have room service bring some up.
Can't it be both?
No, because I got to finish the first one. We've talked about this. I have to do games in order of the series.
No, I'm just saying, like, play Danganronpa while eating an ice cream sundae.
Well, the other day I ate pizza in a whirlpool while playing Danganronpa. So that was pretty awesome.
That sounds like an ideal video game playing situation. I got nothing to say about that.
I think that's going to do it for the first episode of Danganronpa, though. Does anybody have any last thoughts they want to throw out?
Please look forward to the final trial in this game because it is bonkers.
I can't wait.
Yeah, we're excited. Some really quick housekeeping. When we're done with Danganronpa, we're moving on to Child of Light, so that'll be our October game. In the meantime, we would love for you guys to send emails to retro@rpgfan.com. Jump on the boards at rpgfan.com, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. And then, as always, go on to iTunes or wherever you're listening to this podcast, rate and review. That helps out tremendously. And then in the meantime, if you guys want, you can reach out to us on Twitter. I'm at JD Curry.
I am at The Real Monsoon.
And I am at Alana Hagues.
Peter is departed from the podcast because he has a pressing issue to attend to, but he is at I Have Fury on Twitter.
Oh, I didn't even realize he left. I just thought he was being quiet. Yeah, so you can follow us on Twitter. It's a really good way to reach us if you guys have suggestions for what you want to do for future episodes or just want to give us wonderful feedback. We're awesome. But yeah, that will do it for today. Look forward to another episode coming from us every Wednesday. Thank you for listening.
そいつが言うにゃどうか好感だと誘惑従いされごとに溺れ出した王様ゲーム強制参加拒否権なんて聞いちゃくれない課せられたクエストには絶望だうっせぼうまみれ少年に逃げ込んだ現実はなったった欲望ないとか偽り偽善者ぶでも仕方ねえや憧れた夢なんだっけヒーローになりたいのうっぷっぷ願い口にす